Jaclyn Whittal. She's a meteorologist from British Columbia. Thank you for joining us today, Jaclyn. We heard a little bit there from Ediz about the windstorms that are helping to fuel these flames. Talk about the weather systems behind the winds that have allowed these fires to spread so rapidly.
Yeah, thanks, Sally, for having me on. I mean, really, it does come down to the topography of this part of the United States. California is certainly no stranger to wildfires, and the Santa Ana winds have always been there. This is how we can get a rapidly intensifying fire. And, there's a reason we say something spreads like wildfire, because when you get those accelerating winds coming over the mountains toward the coast, in this case, it's coming from the land to the coast, gusting at hurricane strength, it doesn't take very much to take in a very dry environment with low relative humidity to get a fire to spread at the rate that we have seen with this particular fire. So, none of this is new. None of this is shocking. We're not actually seeing a major drought in California as we have seen in the past. This is good news, but we have all heard about, water shortages in the area. We're hearing about fire hydrants being limited in terms of the water that's been available. Obviously, all hands on deck out there, and I know that local officials have been asking for help from other counties. But could we see more of this? Well, it's always been there, and I'm a climate change journalist, and I'm always talking about the links and the attribution to climate change. But we really need to see more data to really attribute this to, a climate-induced fueled event. It has been extremely dry. We have not seen a lot in the way of rainfall for southern parts of California. But yeah, it really comes down to topography, the Santa Ana winds.
I was listening to a firefighter this morning, and he said that the fires were started from a backyard fire that jumped very quickly. Can you talk a little bit about the danger of these fires being 0% contained right now? What does that mean for the power of the situation?
Right. Well, I live in Vernon, British Columbia, which is kind of like Napa Valley, if you can imagine, in California. And this is one of the, hot spots, lack of better words, in Canada for fire activity. When we're watching a fire like this here or in California, it's the same kind of thing. It's all about the relative humidity, and it's all about those winds. Winds are a fire's worst enemy. If we have those winds calm down, and they are expected to calm as we get through the day on Wednesday afternoon, that's going to be good for firefighters to try and get a handle on this, because as long as those winds are gusting and blowing this fire, rapidly, it's going to be spreading. So that's really the nemesis right now. But yeah, we talk about practicing fire safety, and a backyard fire or a cigarette butt or anything like that can ignite a fire, which can blow up like what we've seen. It's a shame to see this because it's such a highly populated area. It's about a 6-mile radius, as I understand, about a 10-kilometer radius. And we have seen winds gusting at hurricane strength, so over 100 kilometers an hour. But by size standards, I guess it's not the largest fire that you could be dealing with, but it's a highly densely populated area, and obviously a lot of wealth in this area as well. So something, the air quality, to think about what people are experiencing, recommending, having gone through a lot of smoky fires, living in this part of Canada, wearing a mask to anybody that can put a mask on really, really will protect yourself from this horrible air quality in place.
The toxic levels are very high. So we know the winds need to calm down, but what about rain? Is there any sign of rain on the forecast? We know it hasn't rained for some time there. And if it isn't going to rain, what kind of resources need to be boosted in order to help contain these fires?
Well, I can't speak to the resources that they have without really knowing the infrastructure and how that works as far as water availability. But any water source is going to be needed, obviously, and hearing that they're already running shy, that's extremely concerning. And then it comes down to resources in terms of the amount of bodies. I think I read 700 firefighters on this one fire. It comes down to working together as, community and jurisdictions pulling together and helping out. As far as rainfall, there is going to be chances of a pattern change where we could start to see some, but not enough to combat something like this. It's going to take boots on the ground to get a handle on this wildfire. And again, we have been in a very dry pattern as of the last few months, really, which is not terribly uncommon as well. In the particular pattern we're in, we talk about El Nino or La Nina. These are things that can change the weather patterns. We were expecting the pattern that we're seeing, and you know, we're going to hope for a change in that to help from Mother Nature to get a handle on these fires. But just a devastating situation to watch unfold.
Indeed. Jaclyn Whittal, really appreciate your time on the program.
My pleasure.